Anatomy of a Mediator Commercial, a conversation with mediator Joseph George, part of the series Mediation Marketing by InstantMediations.com. That is our topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by InstantMediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube, the Instant Mediations app, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hi, everyone. This is Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, and arbitrator working throughout Florida and Texas.
And Natalia Olowska-Czajka, advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland.
Okay, everyone, got a great episode today where we have a special guest who you can see on the screen if you're watching. And if you're listening, be sure to check him out on the video version. So Joseph George, mediator from the state of Florida, has agreed to join us today to talk about himself a little bit and also talk about some of the incredible mediation ads that we came across online, and we wanted to invite him to just share his thoughts about mediator marketing and share what prompted him to do these ads and how effective they've been for him. So Joseph, welcome to the show, and wanted you to just introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you, Mac and Natalia, for having me. What a great show. It's great to be on here. My name is Joseph George, and I'm a mediator, and I'm co-founder of George and George ADR Group. Our services at our firm, we provide ADR dispute resolution for the construction industry. We also do cannabis mediation and a whole slew of other services that we provide, as well as arbitration. We are a boutique firm, so we offer other things that complement the services that we do, such as loan signing. We do notary, which is the regular notary, which we call public notary. Then we do the e-notary, which they call like the raw notary, where you could do your electronic notaries online, as well as we do immigration form services. So we help out people who's coming to America for the beautiful dream. We help them with filing the proper documentation with the government here in the United States, whether it's a green card, whether it's the the family card, and just different type of services that we provide as far for immigration. And again, it's a great pleasure to be here. And just so you know, here in Florida, the biggest disputes that we have in Florida is seems to be HOA disputes and condominium disputes. That seems to be one of the biggest disputes that our firm have been taking on, and people have been contacting us because we do specialize in that. Also, another big thing for us is our cannabis dispute that we handle also, which is the cannabis dispute resolution. It's the cannabis industry is a little bit different than other industries. They have their own little unique issues that they have, such as eminent domain and a lot of intellectual property and trademarks and things like that, and breach of contract. So those are the things that we handle at our firm.
Thanks so much. Let me follow up with a couple questions. You're mainly out of Jacksonville, Florida, but you're mediating across the entire state of Florida?
Yes. We based in Jacksonville, Florida, and we pretty much handle cases throughout the state of Florida. We got people as far as Key West who contact us with their different disputes. And of course, we have, because of our construction disputes, so you have developers who's building projects, bridges, houses, big complexes all the way to Miami, and then you got up in the panhandle of Pensacola. So, we handle those cases throughout the state of Florida.
And finally, you are certified mediator by the Supreme Court of Florida, correct?
Yes. And in Florida, they call it, there's different levels of the mediation levels in Florida. So you have county, you have circuit, you have family, then you have, one for the appellate. And right now I'm county, but I'm working on getting my circuit, but we still handle big cases that the big firms do. So we are a small firm, but we take on the big complex cases, just as the big firms do, because of we bring a lot of life experience. Like my background is in construction industry. My dad owns his own construction business, so I got a chance to watch him do that. So I came into the industry doing that, and that's always been something that I was passionate about, as well as the ADA. ADA is one of the biggest things that our firm likes to handle. So whether it's a fair housing or it's a 504 reasonable accommodation or some type of accessibility, we handle all those ADA cases.
And what really brought our attention to you was the fact that you, as a mediator, arbitrator, CR specialist, decided to advertise your services by producing video commercials. This is interesting because this is still not very common in the business, so that it happens. And as you know, you've been doing a lot to make yourself visible. And can you tell us what led you to that and what your initial experience with it was?
That's an awesome question. When I started this and I came out of school, I looked around online trying to find commercials, things where I could template myself, and there was nothing out there. I kept looking on YouTube, Googling, typing in all type of different catchwords that Google would pick up something on their algorithm to actually find something. And for some reason, there was no videos out there, nothing that you could do. And I started calling the DRC here in Florida and asking them, hey, is there a reason why mediators ain't, doing commercials? Is that regulated? Is that something we can't do? And, they told me plain out, no, as long as you be truthful in the way you advertise and you don't advertise certain things, being specific, saying that you can resolve someone's dispute, as long as you don't use those taglines, then you could do your advertise as any other business can advertise. So I called different, mediators and say, hey, how come you're not doing commercials? And everybody's telling me, well, we get our referrals from the court, we get it from attorneys, this and that. And I was like, but you're not advertising out there. So I decided I'm going to go into Batcave, like Batman, back to the Batcave, and go inside there and sit down in the lab, come up with something. And I was like, okay, mediation, nobody knows about it out there. So how do I get to that consumer? So I figured I have to explain to the consumer. The only way you can explain to them, you can't really explain to them in a podcast. That's a lot of words people don't like to read. So people are more visual today. So that's when I come up and say, we got to create some eye-catching videos that people could capture right on, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether you share it on Instagram. People could share it and people could get it. Once they see it, they get it. So that's how we came up with videos on just different levels of our business. So we separate all the videos by services, because if we put all our services together, then it'll become a movie instead of a video. So we had to break them out in little segments so we could actually post separately, so we could capture different markets at the same time.
So let me share, I'm going to screen share and play one of those videos, because we have 3 of them from you, the asset dispute luxury one, the cannabis one, and the construction one. And each one's about 1 minute and 40 seconds, very short, but to the point. And so if you're listening to this podcast, be sure to check out the YouTube version of this video so that you can watch what we are screen sharing now. All right, give me one moment. You might have heard that. Let me go ahead and screen share. So that was a very interesting video. And let me stop my share. So Joseph, I saw the point of that video, right? It's clearly intended to educate people on the fact that mediation exists as a route for people with high net worth, assets in divorce cases, for them to be able to resolve their disputes outside of court. So give us some feedback on what we just saw and why did you create this, and how effective have you seen it?
Okay, so that's our video that we do for separation of assets for, and we normally do this for our high profile celebrity style clientele who have, these things and they don't want their business in the courthouse. So because once you go in the courthouse, people don't understand, it becomes public knowledge. And then some celebrities may have some things that they don't want in the courthouse. They may have some businesses that's not so business, so they don't want to be audited by, the IRS. So they come to us for mediation to help them with the separation of assets. As you know, divorce is a very tough process to go through. And sometimes you get in when you don't have a agreement in place, before you get married. Then that's when it comes difficult. So we step in. We have attorneys that we work with that they do the whole divorce portion, and then they'll call us in so we could help them with the separation of assets, because that's what we specialize in. That's our caveat. So when I created this video was to let people know, hey, George and George ADR Group is here. We can assist you with the separation of the assets. So it's going to be private, confidential process. We sit down with both parties. We give them a list, a checklist of, and I break it up into 3 portions. We give them your must-have, non-negotiable. Then we have your semi-negotiable, and then the stuff that you go, hey, if they want it, they could have it. So that's how we break it out on the list when we give it to them. So we want to educate the public on how this process is, and I think visually people would get it versus me actually drafting it out on some piece of paper. I think everybody would get it once to see the video. I think, the Rolls Royce capture your eye. I think when somebody see the yacht, they're like, oh yes. If they see the big house, they're like, yes, I'm going through that same problem right now. Me and my divorcee is trying to divorce, but we have this house that we got together. How do we get out of this? So once they see that and they come to us, we sit down with them and we come up with some suggestions for them. And we do this either between mediation, and sometimes we explain to them, hey, in mediation, we have certain guidelines we have to do. So we'll tell them, hey, we could do negotiation, which negotiation have a wider range of things that we can do that's not really governed under the mediation portion. So this video was to capture them, draw them in, and say, hey, pick up the phone, call George and George ADR Group today.
What is interesting about this video, for those who are just listening and not watching, is that the pictures you see on the screen are actually the pictures of luxurious goods and luxurious lives, like yachts and luxurious beach vacations and luxurious hotels or resorts. What is advertising for Joseph's services is just actually the subtitles on the screen. So if you are more captured by the pictures, you see the pictures. But if you want to get the real content, you need to read about it. And I think that from the visual point of view, but also from the advertising point of view, that's quite a nice and an innovative idea. I think we should play another one then.
Yes, so we got a couple more, and then we're about halfway through the show. So let's go ahead and play the construction one. And it's 1 minute and 37 seconds. Okay, let's pause that and screen share. Here we go.
George & George ADR Group provides construction mediation and arbitration service. Many construction disputes never proceed to trial, are instead resolved outside of court through arbitration, mediation, or negotiation. These forms of alternative dispute resolution, ADR, are often recommended to avoid the high costs of litigation, to resolve a dispute more fairly and quickly, and keep the dispute private. Mediation is an effective way to resolve design and construction disputes. It allows parties to establish a formal process to explore the possibility of settling their dispute, with assistance of a neutral third party when informal negotiations have failed. Here are some of the dispute areas we cover: code, enforcement, and environmental claims, construction defects and questionable methods, differing site conditions, subcontractor performance and liens, payment issues, and other construction-related issues. George & George mediators are available to assist property owners, contractors, subcontractors, material suppliers, engineers, architects, surveyors, construction managers, and others in resolving construction disputes. If you are involved in a construction dispute, contact George & George ADR Group today. Arbitration, mediation, negotiation. www.georgeandgeorgeadr.com 407 885 9865.
All right, I stopped my share on that one. So yeah, real quick, just give us some words of wisdom on this one.
This one here was geared towards the construction industry, being that we offer construction disputes. In the construction industry, it's one of the more complex dispute. It's not like the divorce dispute. It's not like the ADA disputes. It's not like the HOA disputes. Construction, it's so complex because you have so many layers of things that could go wrong. I know you guys have probably heard of some of the horror stories of, the contractor got paid and went on vacation and somebody's house is just sitting there and not being done. So when it comes to construction disputes, this video was more geared towards saying, okay, you have a construction dispute, contact us, we can help you resolve it, because construction disputes resolve into breach of contract. Sometimes the contractor would put a lien on a project, which holds up a whole entire project, because once that lien takes effect, nobody's getting money. Everything stops till that contractor gets paid. And then he have to give a lien release back to, whoever, the owner, the developer. So all the projects could move back in. So we want to let everybody know that our firm handles all of the construction disputes.
So again, for those who are just listening, that was the video showing many views from the construction site and people evidently arguing about different aspects of it. And yes, what was transpiring from the video was absolutely the construction sites views and people who are taking part in the construction process on different levels and in different functions of it.
All right, so let's go ahead and share the last one. And this one is on cannabis mediation.
George & George ADR Group and Cannabis Dispute Resolution. Attention cannabis, hemp, and CBD professionals. Cannabis industry disputes are unique and often more complicated due to the federal illegality of cannabis and jurisdictional complexities. But these issues can be resolved through ADR Alternative Dispute Resolution. George & George ADR Group can assist in all your cannabis disputes. We have handled cannabis-related disputes through private party mediation, arbitration, and negotiation. We are able to offer the right size dispute resolution process approach, be it through facilitation, negotiation, mediation, early neutral evaluation, or arbitration that can fit the needs of the parties to preempt or resolve the escalation of their cannabis-related dispute. George & George ADR Group works with cannabis, hemp, and CBD industry clients, including licensed producers, distributors, processors and retailers, as well as ancillary business, funds and investment managers, equipment manufacturers, and technology companies. Our neutrals are trained and have the knowledge, skill, and tenacity to handle the toughest dispute and understand the complexities that are unique to cannabis and hemp. Need help resolving your dispute through ADR? Contact George & George ADR Group today. www.georgeandgeorgeadr.com. Arbitration, mediation, negotiation. 407 885 9865.
All right, so I've stopped the share. Joseph, there's growing talks and laws and changes happening over cannabis in this country. So tell us what was the aim of that commercial? Who was the audience and how effective has it been?
The aim of that audience is to like the cannabis industry. As you know, the cannabis industry is growing. More states come online, regulating it to make it more legalized. But even though the states are coming on board with, legalizing it to a certain extent, whether it be medical marijuana or, the dispensaries that's popping up all over states, you still have the federal government that still sees it as, an illegal Schedule I substance. So that's where it gets tricky. And a lot of the people that's coming online, buying the dispensaries, opening them up, buying the land, growing it, the cultivation process that goes into it, it gets very tricky for even a seasoned attorney. So you can imagine a homeowner, a business owner open up a cannabis industry and saying, hey, I could open up, my state is legalized. Well, the state is legalized, but there's still some requirements that they have to go through. So we are actually certified mediators, cannabis mediators. And when I say that, I'm actually fond of saying that it's certified cannabis mediator because I figure I went to a cannabis university. It's called Steva University. And that's a cannabis university that trains you. It's in, I think it's in Apopka, Florida. They train you on how to grow it from the seed to the plant. They teach you how to trim it, the budding, cultivation process. They teach you about hydroponics. That school teaches you everything you need to know about cannabis. They teach you about the canopy, how high your lights have to be, the type of lighting that these plants need to do. They can do the indoor growing, how much water, the different type of electronic systems that it has. So at Steva University, that's where I went. And I combined that certification with my mediation certification and created my own niche of cannabis, certified cannabis media. So we gear that towards the cannabis industry that as they come online, they're going to have disputes that's complex, that the court system is not going to have it come into the courts because, again, you're going into the federal government, you might be implicating yourself into something that you can get yourself into trouble. And again, you go in the court system, as you know, it becomes public knowledge. And they have similar issues as other disputes, such as breach of contract, trademarks problems, eminent domain, because they get in land. So imagine you go out there and you got this beautiful land and you say, I'm gonna get this big land and I'm gonna grow some marijuana plants on it, and then the government come and say, hey, you know what, the city is growing, we're gonna cut through your land, all your cannabis, and we're gonna put a road. Well, that's where we come in and we help that balancing act and help resolve those type of disputes. Same as breach of contract. Sometimes partners, it started off all good and well, but as you know, as any business, when it starts to make money, problems happen. So you want to get in there and say, hey, we understand you guys have problems. You guys started off well, and we just go in there and neutralize the dispute between the both parties. Because again, when it comes to mediation, it's better than going to litigation, because litigation, you're tied up in the court system for years. It costs you a lot of money. But in mediation, it's a shorter process. And you help to save that partnership, that good old friendship that you started off when you first loved the business. You get to save that partnership. So that's what I like about mediation. You help people come back to reality and say, hey, this was your friend that you started off with, your childhood friend. Let's resolve this through mediation. Let's shake our hands and let's go out and let's start it all over again.
Okay, so once we've watched all your videos, I would want you to and give some tips for other mediators who would want to use video commercial for their recordings. What your experience has been so far, the effectiveness of it, and maybe some tips to those who would really want to make it happen for themselves.
When we launched the videos, launched it on Facebook, we launched it on LinkedIn, and I tell you, it was an overwhelming response of people hitting us on LinkedIn, people calling us up. We just launched our cannabis one actually the other day, and already we got like 20 phone calls of people calling us like say, hey, we didn't know that about mediation. We didn't even know about a cannabis mediator. So the videos work because it tells the story of what you do, and people get it. And you want them to pick up the phone call, even if they call in just to say, hey, I saw this video, I didn't understand it. As soon as they call you, that's your job to sell them. Once you get them on the phone, it's our job to sell them our business. The video is on your vehicle to get them to you. It's for you to drive them home to profitability. And that's what we offer. So anybody who wants to get into the mediation, there's no billboards as you see like the attorneys. There's billboards, there's all type of things, and they advertise in magazines, they have their own awards. But when it comes to mediation, there's none of that. So all of us mediators, we have to get together and say, hey, we got to promote our industry, because believe it or not, this industry is old. They've been using mediation in tribal communities for centuries to resolve their disputes. But here today, we're in 2022, and people still don't know about mediation. So we as mediation firms and individuals who's getting into the field, go out and tell your story, but be true to who your firm is. Don't sell yourself on something that you're not. So if you're not good with ADR, don't go and advertise ADR and go in a dispute, because the language that people talk to you in certain disputes, you have to know that language to relate back to that client. So I would say the key thing for you is be a storyteller when you're telling about your business and about the services that you offer, and be clear about what you want for your business when you're trying to get those consumers into you. And stop listening to the naysayers. They say there's a saying out there saying, if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. That's how you kill the dream. So get those naysayers out of your life and focus on your business. Focus on the marketing things that's going to bring customers to you. Be honest. Be upscale about what you do. Don't just say, well, I'm going to go and get this cheesy video and I'm going to do it like that. No, go get it quality done, because that represents your business. People, if you want to get the big developers like construction developers to take you on, go to those, hard nights videos and get them developed. Instant mediation, go to instant mediation, get on their directory, get on any directory that's out there that's going to get on the Google algorithm. Sign up on those directories to get your name out there. Get unique. Don't always follow what the next mediator is doing. Offer services that he's not doing so you could get that extra niche market. Again, but I'm going to leave with this and say, make your videos luxury. Make your marketing flyers luxury. Your postcards, make them luxury, because your customers, you're going to you get what you put out. You put crap out there, you get crap back. You put out luxury stuff, you get luxury stuff back. That's just the nature of the beast.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Wow, that was a lot. This is why we wanted to have you on, because we saw that what you were producing is different from the norm. All right, it was from a whole another vision of what you typically see out there. Yes, we're used to the billboards by the attorneys, but how often do we see somebody promoting the practice of mediation? So you are one of those peacemakers, again, who's trying to have people come together to resolve their disputes. And this is just another method by which you're trying to educate people about what the possibilities are. So thank you so much for that. I like that saying you said, you know, if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small mind, right? And so definitely this is different. It's unique. It's special. And so I commend you for all the work you've done. And we'll definitely be, you know, sharing some of these, you know, videos with others who might want to get some inspiration, because you certainly inspired us. All right,
Thank you
Natalia,
so much.
any last words before we close out?
Thank you for that. And yeah, one picture speaks more than 1,000 words. So actually with video, it works even better.
Yes.
Thanks.
And
so much.
and I want to say one thing to leave them with. When you're creating videos, try to keep it under at least a minute, 30 seconds. Anything longer than that, you kind of lose your consumer. So if it's under a minute, it's even better.
Yeah, definitely. So much to unpack there, and I hope people got a lot of value out of that short, you know, video, this short video that you just helped us create. Thanks so much. All right, guys, this is Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, arbitrator, co-founder of estamemediation.com. Until next time.
Bye-bye.